Welcome to Terror in Tandem, a podcast about finding entertainment in the macabre, hosted by the knowledgeable and lovable Laura and Richard Mathiasen. Each episode we discuss the horror genre, from books to film to TV and beyond, sometimes even from the beyond. You can find us on YouTube and Instagram at Terror in Tandem, and you'll always find our latest episode on our website, terrorintandem.com.
Oh, hello. Yes, welcome back to part 2 of Legacy Sequels.
Yeah, we're back with Legacy Sequels Part 2.
Oh, your voice hasn't changed a bit.
It's a sequel to a sequel episode.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
really,
sequels.
we're getting
on
really
sequels on sequels.
circular.
Just a reminder. I don't know why I'm doing my voice like that. Just a reminder, Legacy sequels are sequels to the original IP that have a long date range in between. Sometimes they have original characters or relatives of the original characters, but they usually go in their own direction. Sometimes paying homage, sometimes doing their own thing, sometimes a combination.
And a further reminder, this episode itself is the absolutely planned for second part of a series that did not go longer than we expected because we always planned it this way.
We did. We
Always.
wanted to bookend Octerafest with Legacy sequels.
Sure.
And we hope you really enjoyed Octerafest. It was a good one this year.
Happy day. So let's get into it. I believe when we last convened, I was very calmly and in a measured way expressing some concerns I had with Alien Romulus.
Well, yeah, we talked about our disappointments. So
Yes.
that obviously was
I just want to stress how even-keeled and normal I was the whole time.
Yeah, it was great. I think people have probably forgotten about it by now, but you brought it back up, so...
Rude. So I'm going to go with my succeeds. Now, this
Yeah,
is
what is it?
technically a Legacy prequel, which I'll get into. But
what?
I'll get into it. So what I'm talking about today is The First Omen. Now, The First Omen is the first actual Omen movie since the 80s, since The Omen 3, The Final Conflict, with Sam Neill as a grown-up Damien. But there was an Omen 4, but I'm not counting it because it was a made-for-TV movie. And it's also bad.
Well, in my disappoints, there was a TV series. I Know What You Did Last Summer that also sucked. So
There was?
Mhm.
Wow.
yeah,
Really?
with a whole new cast of characters.
Huh.
So
Did they feature into the movie?
nope,
Oh,
it was totally separate.
just a separate,
Legacy on top of Legacy.
the whole Didiverse?
Did
Yeah.
Didiverse.
Anyway, The First Omen, so The Omen 4 came out, I think it was the 90s. It was a made-for-TV movie. It had a female Antichrist. It was bad. So then they remade it with Sam Rockwell or Liev Schreiber. You know what? I don't even remember because
I think Liev Schreiber.
Liev Schreiber was in it? Anyway.
He seems like he looks like he would have been in it.
So I'm getting to this. This counts for me as a legacy because it's the first real continuation of the story in decades, since the 80s. It's actually technically a legacy prequel because the story being told happens before the birth of Damien. Now, the original Omen begins with, it doesn't begin with this, but the story is that, Gregory Peck's character adopts, they switch out a baby because his is stillborn and quote unquote. So he doesn't tell his wife. He switches out a baby in the hospital. That's Damien. That's the Antichrist. He raises him, and then all the Omen stuff happens. Now the story we're going to be talking in The First Omen is everything that happens before that, leading up to the birth of Damien. So This came out in 2024, directed by Arkasha Stevenson, who is her feature debut, but she has done some really, really great work, specifically in the VHS series. So
You like that series a
I
lot.
I do. Now, the film stars Nell Tiger Free, who I mostly know from Game of Thrones. She was Myrcella, but she was also on Servant, the Apple show.
She's a little creepy.
She is great in this movie. Ralph Ineson, obviously the best, and Bill Nighy is in this one. Also, Sonia Braga, always great when she shows up, and obviously she plays a scary nun. Because how could you cast Sonia Braga in a movie like this and not have her play a scary nun? So the general conceit of this is Nell Tiger Free in the 70s is a nun in Rome, a young nun, and she starts to uncover some strangeness at the abbey where she's, nunning. She's
I
approached
like it to be called the nunnery.
the nunnery, exactly. Get thee to one. Now she's approached by Ralph Ineson, who is like a disgraced rogue priest, and he starts telling her a crazy story about how the Catholic Church, it's losing influence all over the world, so they are themselves going to accelerate the end times, bring about the birth of the Antichrist, and then once the Antichrist comes to power, everyone's going to have to turn to the Catholic Church to save them. So it's pretty nuts, right? But this movie, it does a couple of things that really put it in the succeed pile. Now, right off the bat, it's never going to be an X-seed because The Omen is one of the top tier horror movies of all time. You can't improve upon that, but what you can do is expand upon it, and that's what this movie does. Everybody does a really great job. It's tense, it's scary. Nell Tiger Free especially, she's really quite an actor. I don't want to give it away because there is kind of a big twist, but it all leads to the birth of Damien, and then the baby kind of being brought to the hospital, and you learn a little bit like maybe Gregory Peck, a real child, wasn't stillborn so much as murdered and then swapped out for the Antichrist. So it there's a lot that ties into it's like a good prequel. It ties nicely into the franchise proper. It kind of leads into the beginning of The Omen, but there's a really big twist in there that is very cool. Really plays well into the series, and this movie, there's one scene where it comes close to aping The Omen. There's sort of a recreation of the famous crazy lady hanging herself out of a window in front of everybody.
Yeah. It's all for you, Damien.
Yeah, and it happens in this movie, and I'm a little mixed on that because it's very clearly fan service, but they do up the ante by having her set herself on fire first, and then that's like, you got to add a little English there. Now this movie, it's very much the like Catholic Church Gothic possession Antichrist type horror that was really popular in the 70s, but you see it a little bit now and then, but it's sort of like a copy. This one really comes close to the original scares. There's a lot of like Roman Catholic lore in this movie, which I respect the writers for, but you're never going to do better than The Omen. I mean, The Omen 2 and 3 are and the remake are proof of that. But this movie, the first Omen, it I don't know, it succeeded in a way I didn't think it would. I was really skeptical of this movie, but it did quite well. It was a hit, and they left it in a way where you could still kind of explore Sister Margaret. That's Nell Tiger Free, like her story, if you want to. But if they never do, it was a satisfying addition to the franchise, I think.
Awesome.
Like a good legacy sequel, it added a little bit more. It paid respect to what came, but it did it also enough of its own thing to justify its existence. I think Arkasha Stevenson is a really talented director. She also worked on what's that? Channel Zero.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, she did some of that too. So she rules. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else she can do. But yeah, that's my succeed. Is the first Omen
Awesome.
legacy prequel.
So obviously, our exceeds are, I mean, these are all our opinion. But, you know, you can debate whether or not you think that our exceeds examples are surpassing the originals. We argue that they are, and we'll give you kind of the argument for our assessment of that. So,
in an argumentative way,
my exceeds is Candyman. The sequel, the Legacy sequel, came out in 2021. The original came
Really?
out.
Is that long ago?
Yeah.
Damn.
The original came out in 1992, and the OG starred Tony Todd, Virginia Madsen, and Vanessa Williams. Not the singer, actress, the actress. And she played the mom whose baby was stolen. And that baby was Anthony. And in the Legacy, that baby grows up and it's Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
Yeah,
So,
who knew that baby was going to grow up to be a real sunk side of beef?
yeah. So the Legacy sequel is directed by, the original is directed by Bernard Rose, and the Legacy sequel is directed by Nia DaCosta. And we've talked about Nia DaCosta a bit.
She's got the upcoming Bone Temple, the
Yes.
sequel to 28 Years Later.
Another Legacy sequel.
I do like Nia DaCosta. I know it didn't do well, but I thought The Marvels was a lot of fun.
I did too.
I liked it.
So the Legacy sequel, as I mentioned, stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Coleman Domingo, and Tiana Paris. And we see the return of Vanessa Williams.
Speaking of
She plays
the Marvels.
Anthony's mom.
Yeah.
Um,
And she's great.
yeah, she is great.
She has that one
Creepy.
scene especially talking about the Candyman lore that is chilling.
Yes. And the original was more about the menacing, in my opinion, the original was more about the menacing nature of Candyman. And in the Legacy, I feel like it went so deep into why this Candyman figure is a critical figure within the Black community. And so it's a continuation of the original story, but also does its own thing. I will say that the cinematic quality of the Legacy of Candyman is pretty incredible. There is so many attention to details in a reflection aspect. So from the opening scenes of the intro credits where the city that has been gentrified on Cabrini Green in Chicago is now, we're seeing it from like an upside down view.
Yeah.
There are lots of reflective glass, lots of mirrors. The way that they use mirrors, Nia DaCosta films the mirror sequences and all the reflective surfaces, is really a character of its own, which I think is really, really important, because part of how you conjure Candyman is you must say it in a mirror, or as we learn in the Legacy sequel, just a reflective
Yes.
window even, you know.
You just got to be able to look at yourself while you're doing this thing you're doing.
And there's subtle appearances of Candyman where if you blink, you'll miss it. It's really well done. This new film uses the horror of the legend to highlight the social issues like systemic racism and police brutality and violence against Black people in a very specific and generational, you know, like a trauma that's carried on and on and on and on. And I thought that paid real great homage to the first Candyman, and also as a legacy of Candyman himself, really showed how pervasive that experience still is after decades and decades and hundreds of years and forever and always, unfortunately.
The sequel gave Candyman a much more focused purpose.
Yes.
The original was an examination of just the rage, the anger, the rage, the unfocused, and it hurt lots of people.
Yeah. As I mentioned, like Candyman of the original was much more menacing. This Candyman in the Legacy was much more purposeful. It went after And I'll talk about it in a minute, but there was like an evolution of the legend. It's a fluid legend, a continuation of the ancient history of the black men who have suffered wrongful and brutal deaths, and then they become part of this vengeful spirit of Candyman. Tony Todd does appear in the film briefly in a little CGI moment, but the artist played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen Anthony, he's a struggling artist. You watch his kind of metamorphosis into becoming the Candyman legend, and it's really interesting to rewatch it and see this happen, because as people start to kind of pull him down and demean him and demoralize him, after he's conjured Candyman, who doesn't take his violence out on him, he acts in service of him. So the people that have kind of talked shit about him or treated him badly or minimized his talent, and have expected more from him and kind of been dismissive of him, they start to be killed by the spirit of Candyman. And then
A couple shitty gentrifiers.
Anthony's body starts to become Candyman.
Yeah.
It's like slowly eroding
Like
into this Candyman.
I
so he's like being consumed by the violence that the Candyman spirit is inflicting on others. And the more cruelty and violence, the more Anthony's body is transformed and his art is transformed and his mind is transformed.
What I really appreciate about this movie and what makes Nia DaCosta such a bold filmmaker is it directly addresses a difficult conversation that Americans keep refusing to have. Is, we say things like, there's no excuse for violence. There's no place for violence. There is no place for violence in this country. There is no place for blah, 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 blah. But we never seem to look at the other side of that as, well, where did this violence come from? Mm-hmm. Do we all just expect that all violence is spontaneous, that it just comes from nowhere, that people just have a spontaneous mental illness and they go nuts? Or is some violence beget by other violence?
Right.
Is some violence the result of the erosion of spirit, dehumanization, brutality, economic violence, gentrification, which is colonialism in modern times?
Right.
There is usually a very uncomfortable answer to the question, why did this happen? But we don't ever talk about it. And to talk about it can invite deep professional and social consequences on the person. Now, in this movie, it's all about that.
Yeah, it's about it, and it also doesn't shy away from the generational trauma of it all. And Anthony learns about the legend of Candyman, which is the same legend that was told in the 1992 version, the Cabrini Green. And this is kind of these folks that are still alive. So Coleman Domingo and Anthony's mother, a little bit older, they remember when this happened, when Virginia Madsen's character really started to uncover this legend.
And she became Candyman for a time.
Yeah. So, but that is also, I kind of like the direction of the Legacy sequel, because it's really only the violence inflicted on the black man that then becomes the legend.
And there's a bit of, the ancestors, the original black, well, the slaves that were brought to this country, they came, a lot of them, from Yorubic West African traditions, which had a, very vibrant religious tradition. And a lot of that involved spirits and possessions and conjurings and guardians and things like that. So it kind of brings along that legacy of spirits still, after all these centuries, looking after, the people they used to.
Well, when we see the end, so spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, you might want to skip this. But when you see, as I mentioned, Anthony slowly being consumed by the violence that Candyman is like doing in honor of him, because he was conjured by him. It wasn't until the end when the police shot his dying, limp body being held by his wife that the Candyman legend was like transformed into Anthony. And then, so he was fully Candyman. Then the conjuring had to happen, of which his wife then does conjure Anthony as Candyman. And so that's part of it. I like the duality of, and this is something that the Legacy sequel explored that was not explored in the original, is the need for the transformation of the Candyman, unfortunately by violence, but then the conjuring of Candyman himself is also critical to then that giving that power.
Yes, and this has happened throughout history. In Sicily, when the peasants were being abused by the aristocracy, they formed the mafia, which originally was small gangs and groups to protect each other and keep the community safe. And then it became what it is. A lot of these groups and a lot of violence come about because, I don't know, you can call it necessity, you can call it what you want, but they don't come out of nothing. And the idea that, well, I guess the question you have to ask is, do you think a group of people would prefer to live in a place where they're safe and don't need a vengeance demon to murder on their behalf? Or do you think they'd rather live here and have to have a vengeance demon killing people to protect them? Which would be better? Which would be the preferred choice, do you think?
Well, one of the real standouts in this film, I mean, art is a very important part of this film.
Sure is.
And
also the what
end,
art takes out of you to create.
Right.
The toll.
And that you're never really done. Like, because the people that sell and buy the art, are rich and they want more and they want something, different. And
the artist becoming the commodity.
There is one scene where this female art critic lady, she criticizes his work while it's in the gallery, and then the gallery owner and his girlfriend are murdered by Candyman, and then Anthony meets with her and she's like obsessed with the art now.
Yep.
So I wanted to say that the end credits, the shadow puppet sequence at the end of the Legacy sequel, it shows all the past victims, and then it kind of reinforces that trauma and suffering of those who came before. And it was really well done. So it is a bit of an exposition of the urban legend.
And a beautiful reuse of Philip Glass's score from the original.
Yeah, exactly. It's this wonderful shadow puppet sequence. And they all kind of come together collectively like a hive, which the bees make an appearance here. I would say less so than the original, but
no, they had to pay Tony Todd so many bee sting fees last time.
Yeah, they used all those real bees. Remember when we did the remake of it?
Yeah, he got $10,000 per bee sting, I think, something like that. So
jeez,
he made bank.
But it's this kind of hive and collective of the Candyman community, symbolic legend that I think is the real interesting play on it. So
it's a great movie.
I will forever go down as saying that I think when we did our remake, we were like, both have merit. They both are wonderful. They both have their place. And I still agree with that. But I do think after rewatching this film, it exceeds the original, and it brings it to it brings a modernity to it that it's like we haven't come far enough.
Well, the most fascinating part of the update is the state of Cabrini Green.
Yes, correct.
Listen, I'm from Brooklyn and I'm from Long Island, and I have been gentrified out of neighborhoods that my family has lived in for a century. So fuck that shit. I really burns me when I hear people being like, "Oh, they put a Starbucks in. The neighborhood's finally getting better." And it's like, well, yeah, except for all the
It's
people that
sort
can't
of-
afford to live there now.
You have to recognize, it's kind of like, how do you separate the art from the artist? I mean, you have to actually recognize what is going on and your role in it, which
I'm just-
definitely is a commentary of this film. And Nia DaCosta's directing
She's
and
very talented.
the
Yeah.
cinematography of this film is really incredible.
I'm really looking forward to her 28 years later sequel. Yeah, I don't know. I am cheating a little bit because I just like to wrap the two movies into each other and just have it as sort of the same a continuation because I can't.
Yeah, it's
decide.
a legacy sequel.
But
It's a legacy sequel in all the
I
definitions.
wouldn't be able to say if it exceeds or doesn't.
I will say it
can't
on
make that
behalf of
decision.
myself and everybody else that agrees with me that
which
Candyman from
should be
2021 exceeds the original 1992.
goodness gracious. I say we keep these good feelings going. And
Yeah,
just
what's
roll
your
right on through.
exceeds?
Ooh, yeah, my exceeds is now look, this is definitely, as these all are, opinionated, and mine might be a little controversial, but I'm gonna go with
I don't think so. You're totally right with this one.
Scream 5.
Yeah.
Or, just Scream. Not confusing at all. So, so it came out in 2022. It was directed by Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillett, also known as the collective Radio Silence. They did Ready or Not,
Yeah. Love that movie.
and they also did Scream 6. Now,
Love both of those.
the controversial part for me is I have never liked the original Scream. I saw it in the theater when I was in high school when it came out, and the reason I don't like it is so douchey. But I'm just I'm an honest man, so I'm going to tell you. The purpose of that movie was like, oh, we're true horror fans and we're so clever and we know more than you, and if you don't know as much, we're going to kill you, right? But then the questions they were asking people were like basic bitch shit about Friday the 13th and stuff. It's like, okay, so you're master horror gatekeepers, but you're asking me questions about like mainstream blockbuster movies. Like, where's your fucking shit? What about the score to Cannibal Holocaust or some shit? Like,
Well, I mean, Randy was the true horror fan. but-
Randy, yeah, his deep cut advice of don't go back in the house.
I know.
Like, fuck all of you. It was one of those movies where, listen, if you're gonna stand up in front of everybody and go, look how clever I am, which is basically Kevin Williams's only.
I was just gonna say it's the Kevin
It is.
Williamson of it all.
I have never
the opening
liked a
scene
single
of that
thing.
film
Yes.
is classic
But if-
and great, and
if
has
Kevin
been
Williamson
stolen.
is going to stand up in front of the world and go, look how clever I am, Dad. Shit, man, you can't hit me with this like surface level nonsense. Like, if I were the Scream killer, if I were Ghostface, like, nobody would be getting my fucking questions, right?
Well, everybody also, I'm sure, was like, "Oh, you're Stu."
I
when
mean,
it
I
came
was
out,
the
too.
guy in the middle in the movie. I was like 16 or 15, and fucking Drew Barrymore gets the question wrong about who the killer was in Friday the 13th, and I'm like, yeah, no fucking shit, it's the mom. Like, you've obviously never seen
I'm
this.
sorry, the Randy. Did I call you Stu by accident?
Stu Stumacher?
Yeah,
I wish.
yeah. No, you don't. But I bet you people were like, "You're just like Randy."
Yes, all the time. That was the other thing. I got that constantly in high school, and I was always like, I'm nothing like that guy. He doesn't know shit.
I mean, if
would-
you listen to Randy being like, "No, everybody, this is the way it is," and this movie, blah blah blah
He's
blah
such
blah
a
blah,
pain in the ass.
and you're listening right now.
Fucking
and-
gatekeeper. No, I don't tell people like how it is or what they're supposed to do. And Randy's advice, it sucks. And also, he eats it too. So like, great job, Randy.
Not in the first one.
No, but he does.
He does, but not, he doesn't die.
Great,
That's-
he still does.
Anyway, I know that you don't like the original
Ugh.
Scream. It did introduce us to, Gail Weathers
Sure.
and
Now-
Sydney.
I'm so sorry about all of that.
You just had to lay the groundwork.
It's a talented cast.
It was only
It's
up
a
from
talented director. I have never liked Kevin Williamson's work. I'm for fuck not going to see the second one. I mean, I have my own reason. The seventh one, because he's writing and directing it.
Kevin Williamson is?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also was off board that when they
I know. There's a lot of controversy
when they tried to
around
cancel
it.
Melissa Barrera for some shit that now everybody is saying.
I mean, the
publicly.
original is very Wes Craven, very, and it was meant to be hilarious.
I think Wes Craven did a much better job with what he was attempting in Scream in New Nightmare.
Yes.
So anyway, sorry about that. Getting to Scream 5, this movie, holy shit, man. I was going into it heavily biased against. Cards on the table, I thought Scream 4 was pretty good. Out of the Wes Craven ones, it's like far and above the best.
Yeah.
But great cast in this one. We've got Melissa Barrera, Kyle Gallner, Mikey Madison, Oscar winner, Mikey Madison was before, Dylan Minnette, Jenna Ortega, Jack Quaid. It's like millennial, all-stars. Then some throwbacks. We get the return of Skeet Ulrich, Johnny Depp's, kind of like clone.
We have a legacy-wide new kind of intro scene. Drew Barrymore replacement with Samara Weaving, which was great.
Yes, Samara Weaving. I know that was a great choice. Also rejoining Radio Silence after Ready or Not. They're doing the sequel to that, by the way, and she's in it.
I know.
Can't wait. So they bring back Heather Matarazzo, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Neve Campbell, and Roger L. Jackson, of course, as the voice of Ghostface. That was bad. Anyway,
that was really bad.
Sorry. So this one, it takes place 25 years later.
Movies?
Nice.
That was a little better. It was not good, but
no, it was pretty good. Now, Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega plays the Carpenter sisters. Sam Carpenter
I feel like is also an homage to
John Carpenter. Absolutely, it is. Basically, the Ghostface murders, like all the sequels, they start happening again. Only now they're going after this younger group of people who all have a connection to the victims of the original Ghostface. Mm-hmm. It's like that classic setup, right? It's like Scream, the college years, the next generation.
Yeah.
But the real cool twist is when you find out who Sam is. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to ruin it. Spoiler. She is Skeet Ulrich's daughter, Billy Prescott.
No, that's Sidney Prescott.
Oh, Sidney Prescott. Yeah. Billy, whatever. It was Billy
Loomis.
Billy Loomis, yes. So she's actually Sam Loomis. And Melissa Barrera, she's a great actor, but the movie does something really neat where now she is the, hero of the movie. Ghostface is primarily going after her and, killing all her friends and shit. And in order to fight back, she taps into that my dad was a serial killer energy.
Because she sees him in the mirror and
she's
sees
haunted.
Visions of him because he's dead, which I appreciate they didn't be like, nope, he's not dead.
He's extremely dead. And by the way, Skeet still looks great, man. I think so. I mean, he's, handsome guy. So this
she does, taps into the Loomis darkness.
She does, which I thought was a really cool choice. Now, this movie, just for my money, it's way scarier. It's more it's more relentless. It's more violent. It's darker. It has a bit of the like a bit of the meta of Scream, but not nearly the focus.
It has some fun meta because
But the meta here is more like you've seen the other Scream movies. It's not a commentary necessarily on the genre itself. Because
they do talk about how Gale Weathers' books, because she wrote about the experience, and then they made movies of her books. Stab movies. So it talks about that a little bit. And then, what's his face? Randy's family.
Yep.
There's a girl and a boy. They love movies also. And they talk about how this is oh, it's like a legacy sequel. This
Yeah,
is
they do bring that up a lot.
so it is
yeah.
it is still the meta, sprinkling the meta of the Scream movies that I think is really fun.
And, always fun to see America's good boy, Jack Quaid, acting bad.
Yeah.
He's a naughty little bastard.
Spoiler.
I love Jack Quaid. I'm a big fan.
And like you said, it's a little more relentless. They don't pull
No.
punches.
It is relentless. It's a scary. These guys really know how to make a good like human monster type movie, like home invasion, tense running through a house type stuff. There's a lot of that, and Ghostface looks amazing. The knife looks amazing. It's always been a top tier look.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Scream 6 was also great, but this movie surprised me so much because, really, I didn't want to like it. I went into this being like, I guess I have to watch. I've seen all the other ones. And really, 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 I thought this exceeded the original. Both, I mean, I don't know if it was really even trying to go for the meta commentary, but just in terms of a horror movie, it's sorry, Wes, it's better.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah. I mean, Wes had plenty of opportunities to do a better, and he didn't. So. But you did like Scream 4.
This also did bring, it did enough bringing in the past without overdoing it. Like the focus is very heavily on Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega and all the kiddos. But, Courtney Cox and David Arquette and Neve Campbell, they all make an appearance, but they're not like the main focus of the movie. It was just enough, but not distracting. Although Dewey.
I know.
Is Dewey maybe the best representation of like a police officer ever on camera?
In this film, he's retired and
can't.
a drunk and depressed and divorced. But, the original, he's kind of like a tryhard.
Oh, man. I mean, listen, no, I don't mean any shade on his character. Dewey's legit one of the franchise's like most honorable characters.
Yeah.
But as a cop, he's terrible.
Yeah. And I think
really
that's
bad.
Pretty obvious.
Probably should have had a less stressful job.
Yeah. Sad.
Poor Dewey.
Poor Dewey. Dewey gets it. Anyway, that's great because I agree. I think it succeeded its original. Also.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like the original Scream.
I know you do. You also like Scream 2. Not so much Scream 3.
Yeah. Scream 2 is okay.
Which one had Timothy Olyphant? Was that
Scream
2? Yeah. Then that one's good. Just for that reason.
Yeah.
But that's my exceeds.
Yeah. So we hope that you liked all of our opinions on what we thought disappointed, what we thought succeeded its original, meaning it's in line with what the original captured for us, and then what exceeded.
Legacy sequels are a really, really tricky proposition. They seem like a safe bet because, from a financial point of view, you're like, well, everyone likes this old stuff and let's bring it back, right? But boy, you have to walk such a tight line between justifying doing something at all. Like it's got to be new enough to want to see, but then you can't trample over what came before, so you can't go too new with it.
Right, because you want also it to pay homage, and you want to bring that nostalgia into play. And I will say, of most of the legacy sequels out there, very few succeed, and very, very even smaller few
especially
exceed.
Comedies. I honestly cannot think of a legacy sequel comedy that is good.
Oh, outside the horror genre, you mean?
Yeah, I'm saying like a comedy movie where they make a sequel years and years later. I cannot think of any time that's been good.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait till we see Spinal Tap.
I've heard that I will still be right about that. But I just think specifically the comedy genre, there is something about lightning in a bottle that just can never be replicated.
Yep.
So many things have to happen perfectly.
And it has been attempted all across the board.
Well, that's to say, the motivations behind making a legacy sequel, it really depends, doesn't it? Sometimes you're like, I would like to rescue this property that was disrespected by people. And other times you just have like, let's just get some more bucks out of it.
I did give you a couple, and then at the beginning of the first episode, of what I think legacy sequels that succeed.
Yeah, like Top Gun Maverick. Hell
Cobra
yes.
Kai
Yeah.
series.
And I think that the formula is consistent throughout all of our successful examples in that it's balance. You bring in a bit of the old, a bit of the new, you balance them. You don't have one dominate over the other. You keep a balance between innovation and preservation, and you'll probably do fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been the conclusion of our always planned 2-part episode.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. And even though one of us cheated and gave a legacy prequel, we might do a legacy prequel at some point.
You come up with like 5 or 6 more examples. Jeez Louise, everybody.
I know. Just remember who stuck to the assignment and who went a little off the legacy pathway.
Folks, this really bakes my beans.
Well, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Terror in Tandem is written, produced, and recorded by Laura and Richard Mathiasen, and edited and mixed by Richard Mathiasen. Our theme was written and performed by Carrie Denver, and all other music was written and performed by David Suspanic. All opinions expressed on this podcast are our own and should be taken as such. Thanks for listening, and please remember to give us a like, a review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time.